Joe, welcome. Our theme for the next couple of days is the need to build speed, productivity and agility in our organisations to prepare for the disruptive environment that we all face. So in your experience, what differentiates those organisations that are ready to succeed in today's global context in comparison to those who are likely to be left behind?
Well, I think in today's agile world, a few things have changed. One of the things is that change is happening at an exponential rate, and organizations are struggling to adapt to that rate of change. So one of the things that organizations have to do is they have to make decisions much more quickly. And they have to implement those decisions much more quickly, so that the emphasis today is really more about speed, or what we'll call productivity or cycle time, more so than historically it's been about profitability. We've now seen a leveling of the playing field, where no matter where you are in the world, you can have access to the same information, same resources as anybody else. So it's the ability to use that faster and more efficiently that has become your competitive advantage. The other big change is that the world has moved from what I've called complicated to complex. Think of complicated decisions as chess. That strategy used to be kind of, I can just think it through, and if I put enough brain power, I can basically outmaneuver you because I can solve a problem. But today, the world is increasingly complex. It's like poker. No matter how much I think about the decisions, I never know what that next card is going to be before I make that decision. So leaders today have to act. And that's essentially one of the other big challenges that organizations are struggling with, is that you can't wait anymore. You have to move forward with incomplete information. And a lot of organizations struggle with that.
So what do you see as the main barriers that organizations tend to face in making that shift of behavior towards being more about act first and perhaps think about it in more depth later?
Well, I actually call this the innovation paradox, because what's ironic is that the larger the organization becomes, they want to de-risk a decision, which means they don't want to have any uncertainty. Yet they have the resources to act, yet they're not able to act because they want to see what the outcome is going to be. Well, in today's complex world, you're never going to get the information to be able to act. So, for example, what you have is Jeff Bezos at Amazon says, look, go with 70%, because waiting for 90% will take too long. He actually uses a modified rule that came from General Colin Powell, and Colin Powell calls it the 40-70 rule. And what he says is, look, you can't make decisions without data. And so you need at least 40% of the information to basically make a decision. But at the same time, you can't wait for 90% because it takes too long. So like Jeff Bezos, he says, go at 70%.
So what steps can leaders take to design more agility into their organizations?
Well, the other piece is that we have to reward people not just on results, we also have to reward people on making good decisions. Because if I'm going to act with 70% of the information, I'm going to be wrong. And ROI can have a definition called restriction on investment, which also means that if I'm 70% of the time right, well, 30% of the time I actually could be wrong. And organizations don't like to fail. Yet, if I have to act knowing that I'm going to fail 1 out of every 3 times. So here's the point. I don't reward failure, but in Silicon Valley, they call it failing fast. When I work with Google, or now known as Alphabet, they actually say I need to fail well. What I have to do is I have to look at these failures not as failures. I have to look at those as learning options, opportunities to gather information. And so if I can actually act faster than you, and I can continue to learn based on my experiences, and I can put those into practice in my organization and make my organization more adaptive, then I'm going to win that race over time, and I'm going to be a much better competitive organization in the future.
Joe Perfetti, thank you very much.
Thank you.